Okay. I've been waiting to do this video, but I've been playing 2K games or WWE games for a long time since I was a kid. Um, and SmackDown versus Raw, although it wasn't perfect, it was probably the best experience. It wasn't simulation wrestling, but it was fun. Least I can say for an older game that's about 20 years old at this point. Yeah, somewhere in there. Um, these 2K games, man, I've been I've been buying them for a while now. In the last 2 years, I paid about $120 for both of them, and I gotta say, 2K23 was better than 2K22 by far because it wasn't crashing. I literally couldn't play 2K22 because it kept crashing. Um, but at least I was able to play 2K23, which is a step in the right direction. But is it fun? No. Um, I'm a wrestling fan. I love just the way wrestling works, so I can suspend my belief, or I can suspend my disbelief in wrestling very easily and just get into it. But um, I don't know, man. It wears. It wears. So I have some ideas on how they could make the game better. I doubt if any of these are going to be put in the game. And these are just some of the different ideas that I have. I don't want to make this too long, but all right. So some stuff that they can add, and I'm gonna try to give a brief description of what I'm talking about in case no one knows what can pick up on what I'm saying. Um, these first two things that I'm gonna say should have been added in the game a long time ago. I feel like it's not that complex of a feature to add, and I don't. I mean, knowing 2K, they can mess it up very easily, but if it's done right, it can make all the difference in the world. All right, so the first two things are custom Titantrons, like actual. I'm not talking to like how it was before, where you had to make Titantrons was you would have to what I would do is I would take an image that I wanted, I would put it on the mat, in an arena, and I would position the camera where it's looking at the mat, and then I take that replay and I upload it, and it's so tedious and unnecessary. Instead of them just adding uh, a Titantron feature into the game, I don't understand. And the second one is custom Minitrons. Minitrons are a thing now. Like they're very, very it's not like before where you just had the Titantron and that's really all wrestlers had when they made their entrance besides the music. Like Minitrons are a thing now and I would say they're very popular, especially with the design and the sometimes the very creative ways that some of these wrestlers they take their Minitrons, you know, design into. I would say that is very necessary, especially when you're talking about a gimmick, when you're talking about separating your character from everybody else. Now, in the third thing I'm gonna mention is another thing to play off of that, to separate your created wrestlers from the wrestlers that's in the game. This is another thing that we were forced to do in 2K23 that I absolutely fucking hated. Uh, Custom entrance music. Now they had this in the game before on the Xbox 360, and that was because you were able to. I would assume it was because you were able to upload your own music to, or you were able to burn your own music to the Xbox. And they had a feature in there where you can add your music that you have on your Xbox to the game, and it was removed when Xbox took away the ability to download or burn your music onto the game because I guess they had music subscriptions that they wanted people to pay for. Um, they don't have to give you the ability to upload whole songs or whatever. I don't know if it'll be a copyright issue. I don't understand how that works. With with 2K getting hit with copyright or like infringement penalties or whatever it is you want to call it, due to people uploading music from actual artists or whatever. I don't understand why that's a thing. If that's something that they're concerned about, I don't understand why. I don't understand why custom interest music isn't in the game anymore. What they can do is how they have the image downloader. You could take a clip of a song that you want to add, and it could be a 20-second clip that loops, or it could be a 30-second clip, or you can go a full 2 minutes, just so you can make sure that your whole entrance is covered. But take a clip of a song and upload it onto the website, and then they send it into the game to your profile or whatever, and then you're able to add that as your entrance music. I don't understand why, if I want to create a wrestler that is similar or have the same vibe as a Randy Orton, I have to use Randy Orton's music to get the vibe of the wrestler to stick. I don't understand. We shouldn't be relegated to that. So let's move on to the next thing. Alta tires separate from custom wrestlers. Now in 2K23, when you download Alta tires for actual wrestlers, they don't have Alta tire slots. The slots are your custom superstar slots. So now, instead of having 100 custom superstars in the game, if you decide to download 5 Alta tires for wrestlers, now you only have 95 custom superstar slots to go to your custom wrestlers, which sucks. I mean, it should be separate. I don't know. Or, I don't want to say limit the amount of custom superstars you're able to have, but there has to be a way to add these things in a game without taking away too much. Now, that leads me into my next few points. Okay? Remove my faction. Remove showcase-like modes and remove my rise. Okay? My faction doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. You're going on there. You're paying money, if you want to pay money, to wrestle computers. What? Like, my faction doesn't make any sense. It feels like they tried to bring Supercard and they tried to add Supercard into the game, but a different type of. It just doesn't make any sense. My faction needs to be taken the fuck out the game. They're trying to take the My Team idea and add it to WWE 2K, which might offer them. I assume, I don't know, we haven't got much My Faction info, but I assume you're going to be able to pretty soon, if not this year, be able to have an online multiplayer type thing with My Faction. It would only make sense. I don't know if they had it in 2K23 because I don't play the fucking mode, but either way, I just think it needs to be taken the fuck out the game. If you want to fight against other people, this is what online is for. It's not my fault, or it's not anybody's fault that lives and breathes universe mode. It's not our fault that they can't get online to work, which is mostly what people who like these games, that's mostly what they're on there for, is they're on there for the online mode. That's what they like. This is why they thought 2K22, which I thought was an absolute shit show, this is why they thought it was a good game, because all they were playing was fucking online. They wasn't playing the universe mode. They wasn't playing any of these other modes, so they wasn't as impacted by just how bad that game was. Remove showcase-like modes. I thought we were done with the fucking showcase thing. What is the point? I get it. You play these matches. You get the relive moments. You get the win attires. You're talking about I gotta play a fucking mode to get certain wrestlers that should already be the fuck accessible. Like, I don't know if I have to play, but all right. So when I played my GM mode, Ezekiel is locked. Ezekiel is locked for my GM mode, and I don't understand why. And I can only assume that it has something to do with showcase mode. But I don't want to play the fucking mode. And every chance I get to avoid it, I do. And it seems like in order to download certain attires, these things should already be the fuck in the game. In order to download certain attires, you have to play these fucking matches so you can unlock the attires, so then you can download certain people from community creations, or you can use certain outfits, or you can use certain people, or maybe if you decide you want to play my GM, certain people aren't locked behind a fucking wall because you don't want to play showcase. When you pay $120 for a game to get everything in the game, that should include everything. Not stuff locked behind fucking showcase. But apparently, some stuff is locked behind showcase. Alright, so moving on. Remove My Rise. My Rise needs to fucking go. If they can't get a superstar mode, or if they can't get a career mode, or if they can't get these modes right, the effort and the work that they're putting into My Rise, they could have put that same effort and taken a lot of things out of My Rise and put it into universe mode. Okay, let me just, and this is another point, but it's later on down the list, but I just need to say this. Okay, when you watch wrestling, and this is the problem with simulation wrestling. Okay, simulation wrestling and arcade wrestling are two different things, and this is another point that I'm gonna get it out the way now. Add arcade and simulation play experiences. All right, you have a lot of people that want to play an arcade style where they get into a match. See, this is why I don't understand why people were complaining about Fight Forever, and how you could win a match within like the first fucking minute that you start the match. It's very easy to win and finish matches against certain people. And I thought this is what they wanted, because whenever they talk about, WWE games, they talk about how long and drawn out these matches can be. And I don't understand why they took out the squash match feature from years ago. They took out the squash match feature, where when the momentum for one superstar is so high, they become fucking invincible. And you see these real simulation wrestling that has a lot of components to it. And I'm gonna get to these things. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna get to these things. Alright, so moving on. Remove and flesh out My GM. Now, My GM is bare fucking bones. It's bare bones. And they tried to add logistic aspects to it. They tried to add many different components. And I'm one of the very few people. I know I'm one of the very few people. I don't use legend people in the game. Unless I'm like playing against somebody or something like that. But when I'm playing like by myself with my own experience, I'm not playing with legend people. I don't want to deal with legends. I don't want to deal with them. I mean, you look at legends coming back in real life. Fans don't like it. They don't like it most of the time. Now when they come back and they kind of take over storylines and shit. Look at what's happening with The Rock. All right. I mean, certain wrestlers coming back and winning titles like Goldberg and shit like that. Fans don't like it. So why the fuck is this a thing in the game, man? Why is this a thing in the game? I don't understand. Why the fuck would I want to sign Yokozuna or Andre the Giant? They're supposed to be dead, which completely takes away the immersion. Rest in peace, with all due respect, man, but they're not here anymore. So they can't make appearances. They can't win titles anymore. It completely knocks immersion out of the question. And when you play sports games, that's most of the time for people that play franchise mode. That's what you're playing for. You're playing for the immersion aspect, to rip yourself out of your reality and place yourself in the reality of this game. That's what you're doing. And it knocks you out of that, which takes away all of the fucking fun of some of these modes that's in the game, like Universe. Okay, but let's move on. Remove the star and point system. Now, I don't know why they added a point system to calculate. This is almost like an arcade thing. Like, seriously, an arcade thing where you go to the arcade, that's what you call it, the arcade. You go to the arcade, you play a bunch of games, and you get points based on things you do. And those points are later added up and it's placed on a leaderboard to show who got the most points. Why is this a fucking thing in this game? And it doesn't go towards anything. Now, if those points are then later turned into like VC or something, where you can buy different unique things that you can't get in the base game, fine. But there is no point to this point system. The star system is broken. The star system, it rewards long, drawn-out matches. It doesn't... I've said this for years, that they should take away the star system, and they need to add a new system to determine, like, you can even do a match rating system where it's not determined about how long and how many moves you do. It's determined on the crowd reaction. But see, in order for something like this to work, they would have to redo the crowd. The crowd is fucking broken. Now, they're showing in these trailers that the crowd seems to be working, and they seem to be doing crowd-like things, but that could change once the fucking game drops. Obviously, they're going to show you all the positives and none of the negatives when advertising this game so you could buy it. And then when you buy the game, you realize, it's not at all what the fucking trailer. How many times did that happen? That's what they do. So they're not going to show you, they're showing you specific moments. Now, let's say, for instance, Cody Rhodes' entrance, where he comes out and he does the whoa thing, and the crowd does it with him. Now, let's say if that's in the, I believe it's in the trailer. Now, let's say if that's in the game. That might be one of the very few instances where the crowd actually gets involved. And it seemed like the only time you actually notice the crowd get involved is when you do big spots. And that's another thing. All right, that's another thing I'm gonna say. They need to add spots in the game, like a multitude of spots in the game. And for people that don't know what the fuck a spot is, a spot could be anything from, on Raw yesterday or last night, there was a spot where, it was the Fatal 4-Way tag match, and you had one dude on the turnbuckle, you had one guy on the ground, and you saw, I think, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods hop on the shoulder of the guy that was standing, and they then grabbed the guy that was on the turnbuckle, and they did this weird 4-man suplex. That's a spot. That's something. That's a spot. Like when, one of the spots that I noticed they added was multi-person dives, where you dive to the outside and there's a bunch of people out there. I think it's such not a cliche. I don't want to call it. I think it's such a corny spot. But I get why it's there. It's fan service for people that's there. It looks fun. It looks chaotic. I get it. I think it's corny, but it's in real wrestling. So they need to add spots. Now, they tried to add spots with oh my God moments, but I felt like that was too over the top and too predictable. It wasn't organic. It wasn't natural to the flow of the match. All right, but let's move on. All right, that moves me into my next point. Add a new match flow system. Now, to go off of what I was saying with them removing the star system and adding like a match rating system that goes off of how the crowd reacts, they need to add a match flow. When you watch a wrestling match, there's a lot of slow moving points. There's points where the match picks up. There's points where, for people that watch wrestling, like I watch wrestling, you understand, like, the flow of the match and how it has its pickups and how it has its slowdown moments. You understand this. This game doesn't have that. You're either moving incredibly slow from beginning to end, or you're moving like really fucking fast, and it's like way too much in before you know what the match is over, and you don't even understand the experience. They need to have it a little more fleshed out. In universe mode, right? Environments are important when it comes to wrestling. Environments are important. So when you have a regular show like Raw or SmackDown or NXT, that needs to feel like a weekly show. Then when you have a pay-per-view, it needs to feel so fucking massive. It needs to feel on a scale that a weekly show just can't live up to. And these experiences, they don't really translate in the game, because a pay-per-view can feel like a weekly show because the crowd isn't making it bigger than it actually is. Like, I don't know. It just is different. There's a difference. And when you watch a wrestling match, you see a lot of punches in the corner. You see a lot of grabs and repositionings, and you see a lot of crawling around on the ground, picking yourself up, working yourself into certain positions for moves, stuff like that. You see a lot of slow moving technical things that you don't see in the game. All right, like if I want to do a spot at the turnbuckle and then do a spot on the apron, I would have to actively put those people in that spot to do those spots. It's not like organic. It doesn't. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, have it where, players move, or the CPU moves in a certain spot so certain things can be done, and just randomize it. Have it where, if you do a big suplex in the middle of the ring and then the CPU rolls to the apron, like how they do in the Royal Rumble, where they roll to the apron and then they stand up on the outside or something like that. Like, do stuff like that, man. Make it feel organic. Make it feel natural. This game does not feel natural. So let's move on, because I'm already over 20 minutes. Add a new fatigue and stamina system. Now with this, all right, there's a difference. All right, fatigue versus stamina. Okay. Now, with fatigue, as the match goes on, after you've taken plenty of moves, you're going to move slower. You're going to move a lot more exhaustedly. You're not going to move like the way wrestlers finish a match isn't the same way that they start a match. Now, you can add two different systems here to kind of work off each other to kind of make it feel better. Now, when you wrestle for a while, and this is so the match doesn't stay slow for the rest, all right? So when you're fatigued and you're tired and your health is low, right, and you start moving slower, and that's another thing too. They need to remove this shit from the game where when you lose a lot of health, given enough time, you can gain that fucking health back. I think that's stupid. I think it's dumb, and it completely negates all the damage that you inflicted on somebody. Like, once they get the momentum, now all their health slowly starts to come back. I think it's dumb to have that the fuck in the game. It's like shooting somebody it's like playing Rainbow Six Siege. You shoot somebody, you knock them down, and you give them enough time, and their health slowly start to regain. So it's like it completely shits on all the work that it took me to get your health down that low. But whatever. So when their health gets low enough, they can get fatigued and they can start moving slower. Now you have a stamina bar. Now, how you can do the stamina bar is when you're first starting a match, the stamina bar can have a steady. When you use it, it's a steady stream. Like, you're not using too much of it. And as the match progresses and the more tired you get, the more stamina you lose. Right? Or they could do something like no, I wouldn't do like how NBA does it, because how NBA does it, it's annoying. But because what I was going to say was they could shorten the stamina bar as the match goes on, and that just is not ideal. They could just make the rate of which you use the stamina a lot faster as the match goes on. That's something they can add to give it a different feel, man. Next one, add cutscenes to universe. When you're watching wrestling matches, most wrestling matches during Raw, especially during rivalries, they don't end in clean finishes. You have to clean finish somebody every single time in this fucking game. There aren't interruptions. There aren't different things that play out that may make a match in, not ambiguously, but under suspicious pretenses, right? Where a referee might get knocked out or confused or some shit, or somebody might do some dirty shit. What happened to dirty and clean wrestling, right? Where in the old games, you can pick what you want to do, and the more, if you pick dirty, the more underhanded things you do, the more momentum you get, versus the more clean things you do, the more momentum you get. Add that back. That would do away with a few things I have on here. If they just add that back, right? That would do away with the I don't know, the payback system they have. I don't really like the payback system. I don't really like it. Me personally, I don't like it. But whatever. Just, that's something they could bring back. They can add thousands of cutscenes, man. Or what they can do if they don't want to do that, add hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of different rivalry types, like not rivalry types, like rivalry scenarios, right? Where, let's say you have a rivalry, you start a rivalry, and it has a storyline that you follow. Now, we've seen enough wrestling over the past 40 years or whatever, where there's a bunch of different rivalry scenarios that you can use, and it follows a storyline, and then the subsequent matches fit that storyline. Like, I don't understand. Like, these are very. I'm putting it very simplistically. Obviously, there's going to be more intricate details that has to be done to them to make them a lot. I guess to make it easier to apply these things. There's a lot of things I'm pretty sure they would have to do to get something like that to work properly. But as a wrestling fan, that's what I want. I want that kind of experience, man. Universe mode needs to feel like they care about it, and it doesn't feel like that. Universe mode is fucking broken. Do you know how many times I put a tag team in a rivalry, or I put somebody in a rivalry that's in a tag team, and they end up fighting their fucking tag team partner in a match? Like, alright. Which can easily be done by just fixing it yourself. But that's the whole. If that's the case, give me a clean match card every week and let me place my matches that I want to place in there. Or give me a match card for the month leading up to the pay-per-view, like match cards for the month, and let me place my matches so that way I can get through the whole month without having to keep placing matches and fixing shit. One or the other. I already did the arcade and simulation thing. Add triple threat and fatal four-way rivalries. This is a thing that should have been added at least a year ago. The ability to have three-way rivalries or four-way rivalries. That was it wasn't a common thing during the Attitude Era, but you saw it a lot. Where you'll have like Stone Cold versus The Rock versus Triple H versus Kurt Angle, or Undertaker versus Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero versus whoever else. Like, you've had these matches before. Why not bring stuff like that back? It will definitely make it fucking interesting. Okay, another thing is, once you start a universe mode, separate it from play now. Alright, so this is my thing. Okay, when I start a universe mode in 23, like, when I create tag teams in play now, my tag teams don't carry over to universe mode, which is fucking annoying, because that shit is so meticulous and just mind-numbing, having to keep doing that over and over again. That doesn't carry over. But once you start a universe mode, any changes you make to somebody, like, even if you don't want it to, it gets carried over to play now. Like, I changed somebody's entrance, and I changed somebody's I changed somebody's entrance and moves. And I didn't want it to carry over into Play Now, so I didn't pick Play Now. When I went to Play Now, their moves and their entrances was still changed. So I'm like, it doesn't even work. It doesn't even work. So removing that shit, making it its own fucking thing, right? Where you're able to change how someone looks. And that's another thing. Like, why can't we change hairstyles? I'm not saying change faces or stuff like that, but changing certain details about wrestlers, like changing their names. You know, if I want to change their names, stuff like that, man. Like, they can easily just add that shit, man. They can add it. I'm not saying change how you say a person's name or whatever, even though I think there needs to be far more names that's in the game than it is, because it's not a lot. Damn, I just turned my TV off. But changing certain details, like, you should have the ability to do that. All right, let's move on, because I'm taking too long with this. Add a prospect generator for NXT. NXT is fucking useless, because once you take all your custom superstars and all the superstars that's on there off NXT, there's no use for it. To be honest, I just get rid of it because there's no use for it now. So, adding a prospect generator, kind of like a draft class in NBA 2K. Add a prospect generator where the game generates prospects, and you can make changes to these prospects to fit whatever it is you want to do. Now, the thing about it is, and I don't know how hard it would be to implement something like this into the game. This does feel a little far-fetched, because I feel like it would take a lot more than what I think it would. Now, the superstars that are generated aren't added to your custom superstars unless you want them to be. Now, if you get a superstar that you like, and you're like, okay, well, you know, this dude turned out pretty well, I want to add him to my superstar so I can keep him. That's different. The prospects generated from this generator will stay in that specific universe mode. Now, to keep it from getting out of hand, I would say do a generator of only 10 prospects a year. 10 prospects a year. The game will generate 10 prospects a year, and it'll give you a list of the 10 prospects that they're planning on putting into the universe mode. You can pick and choose if you want these, whoever you want to be put in there, who you don't want to be put in there. And they should have a number of superstar limit to who you can have on the active rosters, because it's easy to get carried away. And I think 60 people on a show where you're only doing maybe 6 matches a week is crazy. 60 people? There's a lot of people on that roster that won't get fucking time. That won't get time. I think the rosters are too big, to be honest. So, all right, let's move on. Add a Hall of Fame system to Universe that retires older superstars and allows you to add them as legends. Now, this will effectively take them out of the Universe mode, but there's a caveat to it, where you would have the option to bring them back, but they will be on a list. They will be like on a list of legends that you can have, bring them back for a week or bring them back for a month, have to make a guest appearance. You know, if they need to add a show rating to Universe mode, right? This is why I say just getting rid of fucking Manji Yum. Like, a lot of these modes, you can add certain features to these modes, put that in Universe mode to make Universe mode even better, because that's what's going to keep people playing your game for a while. That and online. But for people that don't play online as much, like me, Universe mode is where I'm going to be spending most of my time. A lot of this stuff can be added to Universe mode to make Universe mode more fun. Let's move on to the next one. Better or more realistic match generations in Universe. So when the AI makes these matches, like I said before with the tag teams, they make some of the most asinine decisions, and some of them, like, and for some reason, man, the rivalries in the game They tried to do a better job with it by giving you story points or something like that, where you pick certain cutscenes to play out. That's fine. I don't want to pick. I want to be surprised sometimes. Like when I have a match against somebody and I'm in a rivalry with somebody else, and I finish my match and nothing happens, I'll be surprised. Like, oh, nothing happened. And then the next match, I have my match. I finish my match. I think nothing's gonna happen, and next thing you know, I'm getting fucking jumped or something like that. Just that's what makes wrestling fun, especially when you don't know what's gonna happen. Is when exciting shit happens. So, I don't know. I think they could do a better job with that. And also, this is the last one. Okay, I've been on here for 35 minutes. Remove the face and heel label and add a gauge, like a meter for every wrestler, and you could call it the pop and heat meter. Where pop, you're like a face, you're popular, people love you. The pop side of it and the heat side of it, like Dominic Mysterio, where this nigga literally can't say nothing because people are booing him at 100 miles an hour. It's crazy. But you can add a pop and heat meter that allows you to like based on the decisions you make during matches, during cutscenes, and that's another thing too. Make the cutscenes interactive. Like let's say you're in a rivalry with somebody. You run down to the ring after their match. You have a chair in your hand, or you're about to attack them, or you can choose to run out or not run out if you want to. And this will also give you incentive to watch other people's matches as well. Because I like to play as a single superstar and just do that sometimes. But make the cutscenes interactive, man. So that way certain wrestlers can have that meter affected by their decisions. Do away with these aggressive, treacherous, all that shit. Do away with that. The personality type traits thing that they tried to do, that shit is a huge fail. Do away with it. And just replace that whole fucking thing that doesn't even work with the popping and heat meter. I think that will do. But again, in order for that to work, they would have to fix the crowds. But that's it, man. I mean, these are just many of the ideas I think that they could make the game a lot more fun. I think they're adding too much, to be honest, to the game. They're adding too much. And not just that, but they're adding too much that don't work right. Instead of just simplifying it in a certain respect, but giving you more. They're simplifying it but giving you more, and I think that's what they need to do. I'm not buying 2K24. I think I'm good. I don't think there's much of a distinction between 23 and 24 for me to want to shell out money again to buy it. I'll wait to get info on Universe Mode. If I feel like Universe Mode has improved enough that I might spend $70 on it to get the game, sure. I'm not spending $100 fucking on this game anymore. To be honest, I don't really care about the DLC. I don't think there's anybody, even if CM Punk was in the DLC, I don't think the DLC just isn't interesting for me. I'm more of a base game player anyway, because I feel like you get more out of that. Now, the DLC, all it is to add to the experience of the base game. It just adds to it. It's not I just never really been invested in it. But, I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. I'll wait till more information comes out. The game is supposed to be released in March. We'll see, man. We'll see. All right, man. That's it, man. Give me your thoughts if you have any to what I brought up. I just feel like I've been playing this game for so long, and it just felt like we've been running in place for a long time. And I say this a lot, and I think that this is how it should be. They work for us. For real. These developers, their job is to please us. and then we reward them by supporting their future projects. The problem now is that dynamic has changed completely, where developers can put out whatever they want and the fans are going to buy it because they're benefiting off of the long history we've had with these games and our love for the real life interpretation of these games. We have to stop this. Now, I get it. This is the only real wrestling game on the market. There's not really anything else to compete with that you can go to if they have better shit. I get it. So you kind of just got to make do with what's being put out. If you settle for less, you'll always get less. So as consumers, man, we got to start putting our foot down and make a statement. Anybody that complains about Madden, anybody that complains about 2K games, this is the thing that I always say to all of them. Like, you got to put your foot down. You got to stop allowing video game companies and developers to dictate the terms of the relationship between the customer and the seller. You got to stop it. You got to stop it. Otherwise, we're going to be playing the same WWE 2K game for the next 5 to 10 years. Trust me. Because all that's going to happen is they're going to put out the same bullshit year after year until the new system is put out. And then once the new system comes out in about 3 or 4 years, they're going to start all over again. They're going to wipe the slate clean again and fuck up all over again. This is what's going to happen. This is what has been happening. But we'll see, man. All right, I'm done.